Keep up with Scottish football with your host, John Turner.
So welcome back to another episode of the Low Ball Show. This week's guest has played with numerous teams, including Dundee United, Aberdeen, Bolton Wanderers, Wolverhampton Wanderers, a couple of spells at Hibernian, been at St Johnstone, Strasbourg, St Mirren, has had over 70 caps for Finland, has managed teams such as Cowdenbeath, TPS, Hibernian, Kilmarnock, Finland, Dundee United, Latvia and Hong Kong, amongst a few others. This week's guest is Mixu Paatelainen. Mixu, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it.
As you can tell, I missed out the one club that I wasn't sure how to pronounce, which was your first club.
HIFK.
HIFK. It was the first part that confused me.
You mean the PS44? You mean?
It was quoted down as Valkeakosken.
Yeah, Valkeakosken HIFK. Yeah, the Premier League club in Finland used to be really successful in the 70s and 80s, 90s also in Finland, and that was my I come from a town called Valkeakoski, and that's where I did my school and all that. Although I was born in Helsinki, but my first club senior level was really Pallosepot 44, which says one from Valkeakoski, played in third division those days when I was a youngster, and I went to play when I was 16. I went to play for them and just to get the men's football. And bigger challenge, if you like, playing against men, and it was a valuable experience. And then I played a couple of seasons for them, and then I joined HIFK, the Finnish Premier League side, and which we won the Finnish Cup as well. And so it was great times. But unfortunately, I was only a year and a half there, and then I came to Scotland. So Dundee United. So that was early doors.
And what was the kind of culture difference like from playing there to then Scotland?
Oh, totally different. Everything is softer in Finland, in Scandinavia. Everything is you call your manager, your head coach, you call him by the first name and all that, and I couldn't dare calling Jim McLean, Jim or whatever. So it was totally different, and in Scotland you got the feedback straight to your face, and it was still the old school management style, very direct.
Yeah.
No word spared, if you like, and it was hard school. But on the other hand, it was easy landing for me because I just finished my national service army in Finland. So I kind of took it no problem, and it was easy landing for me. But but those days Dundee United as my first club in Scotland, I can't be more thankful because first of all we had a manager. Yes, his man management skills, one might think were a little bit harsh, but also he was a genius on the training ground. He was a genius developing players, making players understand how they should play, and really, really good manager. And as a youngster, to come to the Dundee United side, which had loads of Scottish internationalists, so many. It was good learning curve for me, and to learn stuff. And I've always said that that was very important for my, as you mentioned, the clubs that I played for and managed. It was a start. It was the Dundee United played a big role in that.
And to move from the likes of, say, Dundee United to Aberdeen, because again, two clubs with great histories, and and a lot in Scotland. Was that a difficult decision?
It wasn't difficult. I had been at Dundee United almost 5 years. So it was I was coming towards the end of my contract, and I was thinking about it. Perhaps it would be nice to change club. Aberdeen obviously been very successful, and big club, wonderful club, and so when Jim McLean called me that afternoon and said that they've agreed a fee with Aberdeen, I was like that. Wow, this is a fantastic chance, and straight away I drove to Aberdeen and had a chat with Aberdeen people, and Willie Miller and Drew Dravi and some directors, and it wasn't difficult at all. Oh, obviously, make no mistake, had a great time in Dundee United, but you want to experience, more. Well, I do anyway.
Yeah.
I've always been a person that wants to go forward, wants to try different clubs, different countries, different cultures, in order to learn and develop yourself. And it turned out to be a fantastic move and a great opportunity to go to Aberdeen, and which we had relative successes as well. And again, Willie Miller was a good manager. We had the likes of Alec McCliss there still playing, Jim Bett, to name the few, Stuart McGimmie, and so forth. So it was good. Really enjoyed Aberdeen Football Club and Aberdeen as a city as well. It was a good move for him.
Yeah, and from there going to Bolton.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a bit of a further afield move than Dundee to Aberdeen.
Yeah, it was funny. I heard afterwards that the match, Bruce Rioch and his assistant Colin Todd travelled up. They came to scout another player, and this is a great example. You need to be at your best in the right time, right place, and then after that match, they say that maybe not that player, but we're interested in me, and that's where it started, and then obviously going to Bolton. Obviously they had a fantastic FA Cup runs in the previous season, and some Scotsmen already playing there, and I thought that that would be interesting, to go down there and try England after Scotland, and turned out to be fantastic. We got the promotion to Premier League, and to become the first Finn to play in the Premier League, and it was great 3 years I spent at Bolton, before going to Wolves.
And what was the kind of setup like at Bolton when you compared that to the likes of Dundee United and Aberdeen?
There was no big difference. Obviously, those days it wasn't the finances that Premier League clubs in England enjoy today.
Yeah.
So there wasn't hardly any difference. Only difference was obviously the first season that we played. Whenever you played the so-called big clubs in the then first division, now championship, and then we got the promotion through the playoff final. My first season, full season there, and we also reached the League Cup final against Liverpool at Wembley. So we were at Wembley twice. That was amazing. Of course, Hampden, I had experienced Hampden before, but the Wembley, the legendary stadium, and coming from Finland, where the English football is followed, through betting and TV very closely. It meant a lot. But then obviously when we went to Premier League, it was like a different world. All these big legendary stadiums to go to, and teams to play against. It was a fantastic experience.
And moving from there, as you say, to Wolves, it was a much kind of shorter stint you were at Wolves compared to previous clubs?
Yeah, it wasn't. Wolves is a big club and a great club. There's no question about that. And I thought again that that would be a good move for me. But how it turned out was that I wasn't playing regularly. I played a match. I didn't play. There was a lot of rotation, in the team, and it was it was difficult to find the rhythm, and I wasn't happy because I didn't play all the time and contribute, get a chance to contribute to the results week in, week out, and I wasn't too happy with that, and that's why I was keen to move on, because I wanted to play. I wanted to, like I say, contribute to the course and play more or less regularly. I don't think anybody can demand to play all the time, but to have long runs in a team and to get to the rhythm and get to the speed of things. But if it's interrupted all the time, it can be difficult.
And from there, you went to Hibernian.
Yeah. It was Alec McLeish became HIFK manager, and then he contacted obviously first the club, and then my agent, and HIFK were in the first division in Scotland at the time, and but obviously previously, having played against them, I knew the club. I knew how big club in Scottish terms HIFK are and where. I had no qualms about it. I knew Alec McLeish was a good man, good person. He was a top player. He had done a great job at Motherwell previously, so it was interesting. I had no problem. I was actually looking forward to coming back, back to Scotland and play again in Scotland, because I had enjoyed that so much with Dundee United at Aberdeen. And then everything went well. Although we lost my debut against St Mirren, Love Street, we lost the game. But after that, we went on to the run, and we won quite comfortably the league, and got to the Premier League and did well. And that's where the McLeish was good as a manager. How he constructed our team during the season in the first division. He brought in likes of Frank Sauce and Russell Latapi and players like that caliber, and we were almost like ready for Premier League. And we didn't go to the Premier League just to survive. We went there to be a team. And try to be as successful as possible. And the first season we did enjoy relative success, going to the Scottish Cup final and being third in the league, qualifying European football. So it was great.
And when, because obviously been at Wolves before and coming up to Hibernian, was it, with Alex McLeish being the manager, was it an easy decision because you had been teammates, so it was a kind of friendly face and somebody you knew pretty well?
Yeah, obviously that played a role. There's no question about that. I knew Alec, and but also coming back to Scotland, coming to Edinburgh, it was like absolutely no problem. Many times I've thought that what if I didn't come back to Scotland? What if I stayed in England? How things would have panned out, but that's ifs and buts. And I've been so lucky with the transfers and opportunities I've had. I'm very thankful, and it was for me it was a good move. Playing for HIFK, was an honour. And then obviously I joined them again. That's a sign of that again. And then I had a chance to become a manager there as well. So it's and also to start the management career in Scotland was great. Do the coaching courses and stuff like that, and getting advice from fantastic managers like Walter Smith and and Davy Moyes and Billy Stark, and really lucky to have such a good instructors.
And just the kind of last point I just want to kind of touch on with your playing career is you were a kind of constant player for Finland. How was that experience, playing so many games for your country?
Big honour. Obviously, I'm very patriotic Finn, although so many Scottish people, Scotsmen say that you're a Scot now, but I'm not. I'm a true Finn. That never leaves me. No, it's a great honour. I had 70 caps. There could have been more, but those days there were no international windows. It wasn't 100% sure whether player would be released, and especially the friendly games and winter tournaments that Finland plays. But so my matches for Finland were more or less qualifiers, and just before that a friendly to prepare for the qualifier. So to play 70 times and to be able to score 18 goals for my country is a great honor. I remember it was when I was a kid, my father played football. He played for Finland. He was a captain of Finland also. And I remember at school, every Monday morning, the headmaster told us a story, some kind of educational story through the tonnage system. And we all listened to that story and learned what we learned. And then after that, every week started with the national anthem. So we stood up and we stood, and I remember standing in the classroom and my eyes closed, and I had seen my father at the Helsinki Olympic Stadium play for Finland, national anthem, and the players are standing in line there, and he was a captain, and I said that one day I want to be there playing for Finland, and then I was always imagining in the classroom that I'm Olympic Stadium, national anthem, I'm going to play for Finland and blah, blah, blah. And then when that day came, it was so emotional. When I was first time a captain of Finland at the Olympic Stadium, a tear came from my eye. Tear came out. And I was supposed to be that centre forward who beat the shit out of the opponent centre halves and blah, 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 and show the example, the fighting spirit up front. And there he is crying before the game. So I was like, nah, come on, get yourself together now and let's get ready for the match. But it was quite a construct, how the emotions took over. And it was a great memory.
And I just need to kind of finalise, do you remember your first goal for your country?
Yes, I do. My first goal was, it was actually a friendly game against then Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic nowadays, in Canary Islands, Maspalomas tournament, where there was Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, Sweden, Finland. What was the fourth team? I can't remember. But it was a 14 tournament, and we beat Czechoslovakia. I believe 2-0. I scored the first goal from the penalty spot, and that was my first goal for Finland, and it never leaves me.
And then, as you say, kind of when you'd moved into management, how did you find moving from a player to a manager?
I was lucky enough to be a player coach.
Yeah.
Before that, I started my coaching, if you like. I did my B license, coaching license in England. Did my A license in Scotland, and did my pro license in Finland. So I'm a right gypsy, when it comes to acquiring your licenses. But anyway, that's because I've traveled around. But so when I was my second stint at HIFK as a player, I was asked by John Park, who was the head of youth at the time, that would I be interested in taking one of the youth teams, HIFK's youth teams, under 15s, and train them and look after them and develop them while I was playing, obviously, first team. And I said, fantastic, absolutely, because he knew that I had aspirations to try coaching and management eventually. And then later that season, I took under 15s. I was under 15s coach, but under 17s coach left, so I got 70s as well. So I had two teams, and it was no problem. It was no problem. I enjoyed it tremendously, it was Stephen Fletcher, for example, played for me in those youth teams, and he was already a fantastic talent and all that. And later he was a HIFK player when I was a manager. Anyway, then I left HIFK after one season, and when John Johnston, Billy Stark had called me and said that I had done the UFA license, and Billy Stark called me and said that would you fancy, and he had heard that I don't carry on at HIFK, so would you fancy coming to St Johnston, be his assistant? He was a manager, obviously, and play. And I thought that was a fantastic opportunity. Billy Stark is a wonderful coach. He's a really good manager and a wonderful person, and learned a lot from him. And then after that season, I joined St Mirren. Gus McPherson was a manager there, and I was a first team coach and a player. And then I took the youth team as well in the end, and we got to the youth cup final. For example, it was a great year for me. I took the reserve side, so it was a busy year to be a player, be the first team coach, take the reserves, and take the youth team. But learned so much. St Mirren is a wonderful club. I really enjoyed my year there, and then joined. Then my knee went. The cartilages between the bones went, and that finished my career. I was 38 already, so nature said that this is the time to call it a day. So otherwise, I would still be playing. And then the mighty Blue Brazil, Cowdenbeath, phoned me, and Gordon McDougall, and it was a part-time club. I had never been a part-time player in my life, so I was like that. Oh, I knew, and I was as I was the first team coach and assistant and player. Obviously, I studied the manager's decisions and managers, how he goes about and stuff like that, and analyzed and learned a lot. Being in the coach's room and talking about opponents and preparation matches, but it grew and grew in me that I wanted to be myself a manager. But then mighty Cowdenbeath approached me, and part-time club, and I knew I was going to be a quite demanding manager, and try and do everything as professionally and right as possible. So I phoned Alec McLeish. I asked his advice. I said that I've got this in front of me, but it's a part-time club. He said, Mixu, don't worry about that at all, what level they play. It's a fantastic opportunity to be asked to become a manager. Any level, you're lucky. And if you're good enough, you will go forward. He says, cream always rises to the top. And then I said, he said, if you trust yourself and all that, I said, okay, bring it on. And then I found another person, because I wasn't sure about the part-time club and the nature of it and all that. Is it just the play 5-a-sides in training and have we boxies and all that, and can I actually apply my professionalism and preparation?
Because you think players' work taking over as well at part-time clubs.
Absolutely.
They work during the day and things.
Absolutely, well. It plays a big role, and you have to think about that because players are tired. I come to that, and then I phoned Craig Levine, who had started his management career at Cowdenbeath as well, and then went on to Hearts. And I phoned Craig, and Craig was really helpful. Craig said to me, the Mixu, forget the part-time club scenario and situation. It's a wonderful club. It's well a run club by Gordon McDougall, who's also the chairman, owner. He will do anything for you if you give your 100% effort to the club. And I said, that's good enough for me. That's brilliant. So I joined them, and that everything was true. It was such a great experience. When the Kitman went on holiday, and I'm telling you, he had more holidays than the Queen. So I was a quick Kitman after that. I was pumping the balls at the right pressure. I was doing the laundry. I was basically doing everything, putting the balls and shinkas and blah 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 in places before matches. And it was a great experience. Preparing the training ground was a real challenge. It took me 2.5 hours before every training session to put the post into the crossbars and stanchions. Everything had to be bolted in, and then put the nets up and all that, and I did all that myself. And
so it was still a full-time job for you then.
I was a full-time. My contract was full-time. I was there every day, and stuff like that. So I remember carrying these crossbars to the training ground. It was an Aberdour boys club. We trained at, but I said that one day, I just go to the training ground and everything is done. I just whistle and training starts. And then, luckily, it wasn't too long after that. But anyway, so then one winter, then the autumn came and the darkness, because obviously we were only able to train in the evenings because of the players working daytime. So there was no floodlights where we trained. So Gordon McDougall had a great idea. He hired 4 of these motorway lights. You get up, and they're high. So I put every corner of that area where we trained, one light. It looked like a stadium. Brilliant. And it was pitch dark, as you know, autumn, winter time in Scotland. So then I built the goals and the nets and put all the cones and blah 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 markers down on the pitch. And then we pucks kind of came to me and before one training session, Gaffer, you absolutely kill us. You kill us totally. I said, what is that? What's wrong? We've been working every day and we're absolutely knackered. We're so tired. Then we come to the training and we see these floodlights. We see the nets bulking. We see everything prepared. Everything is there. We get such a buzz to train. But I say, yeah, it's working. It's working. Brilliant. Carry on. And it was hard work, and it was a great schooling, in terms of hard work. But I remember those days with fun memories. Wonderful days.
And I think as well we need to touch on, you were successful at Cowdenbeath.
Yeah, we won the league. We won the league, so we were lucky in that. And
I think that was the first time in
65 or 67 years. Yeah, that's right. It was a great party. It was unbelievable. The whole Cowdenbeath was buzzing, and we increased the terraces with 4 or 5 times more crowd. It was fantastic days. It was great. There was a real buzz at the city, the town of Cowdenbeath, and it was great.
And I feel like just kind of touching on, because obviously you talk about Craig Levine starting there, yourself starting there, and the success you had there. And now when you look at Cowdenbeath and where they are, does that?
Yeah, it's sad. But it's sad. It's sad. But it's never just plain sailing. It's never just walking on roses. It's a bad period for Cowdenbeath at the moment. I hope that they start building. And they're lucky with acquiring players, and they get the right players in, the right management team, and all that. That happens, especially this. That happens with the big clubs. how many sleeping giants do we have? But it happens to the smaller clubs because the finances are small and all that, and so easily you can go that way. But I'm hoping that one day they come again, and it's one of them cycles.
Yeah, and kind of looking, because you manage kind of several different teams now, almost I think as many teams as you played with.
Well, been very fortunate, that's for sure.
And the kind of one that I really did kind of want to touch on as well was managing Hibernian, and the reason being is because you had spent a few spells there, kind of playing, and then to go back there and be a manager. What was that feeling when you walked out once as a player, but now as a manager?
Unbelievable, brilliant feeling. After Cowdenbeath, I went to Finland to manage a club called TPS over there in the Finnish Premier League. It was a prime example, good example of a sleeping giant. They used to be 60s and 70s, a very successful club in Finland, and then they had been nowhere, challenging the titles or whatever, and dropped down the divisions and stuff like that. And then I went there. We had a great plan, and I was able to bring in a few players. We got to the third position. We got third position in the league. Enabled us to qualify for European football, which was fantastic for us. And then next thing I hear during the winter break that HIFK had contacted the club and asked permission to talk to me. And obviously, having played for HIFK and being fantastic relationship with the HIFK supporters and that sort of stuff. So it was like a Christmas had come again. It was fantastic opportunity for me. One, return to Scotland, Scottish Premier League as a manager, and the club I had played for had enjoyed amazing moments. The 6-2 derby victory with HIFK and all that, and it was a great opportunity. Afterwards, thinking about that, I think that chance came too early in my career, because I didn't have the this is the way I want to do. This is the way I want to play. My playing philosophy wasn't set, wasn't there. I know it develops all the time, and you tweak it and all that, and you improve it and you try. But there was too much testing. I changed the formation far too many times, and changed the players' positions far too many times, instead of have the real continuity and development and that sort of stuff. But nevertheless, it was a great moment for me. The first day that I was at Easter Road as a manager and the press conference, and very, very honoured that I got the opportunity of that.
And I suppose it would have been nice when you stopped having to carry the goals for training.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an added bonus. No, HIFK had just finished building the wonderful training ground they have now, and we were there, and it was first class, absolutely brilliant.
And just and you're talking there, and just because you mentioned about it being early in your career, and maybe too early, in regards to the management, your style and that. But do you not find that that's the kind of one of the big things now in management? And I would say, like now, kind of in the 2000s, the last kind of 20 odd years, that there's no patience anymore. If you get back kind of historically, obviously the big ones, when you talk about, Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, and they get this kind of time at these clubs, but now that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it is a pity that there's no patience. Managers often are not given time to really build the team how they want to. It is, 8 games or whatever, 10 games that decide whether you carry on or not. Sometimes less than that, a few bad results on the bounce, and you're out. And as all the coaches, we want to obviously go to the club which has a vision. They want to build. They want to have the continuity, and systematically improve the side, because you can't just change the side like that because of contracts and finances and stuff like that, and it's not healthy. So it takes time. It takes at least 3 transfer windows to make real changes, and if no more, depending on the length of the contract and stuff like that. But it is a shame, but that's today's world. Obviously, there's many things that drive towards that, is social media, and everything, and obviously the finances and the prize money. If the club feels that they're not going there right now, this moment, we need to do something instead of calm head, and that's perhaps it would be beneficial to some clubs. Some clubs have that already, but to some clubs, to have a real football person, ex-player, ex-coach, whatever, who understands the whole thing, at the board, and being at the club, either consultant or director or whatever, and technical director or sporting director, and manage and help the board to manage the expectations, because it can go out of hand so quickly because of the social media drumming all the time, and all that. And then suddenly you start thinking about this negative things and all that, and then it takes one defeat and boom, the manager is out. So I think that calming head, make no mistake, of course, if there are too many mistakes, of course you need to make a change, absolutely. And anybody understands, and the coaches understand that in the first. they know exactly what's going on. But not too early, and give them a little bit more time. That's but it's not easy.
Funny we talking about social media there. Did you ever find when you were managing that? Did you start to find that players were becoming more obsessed with phones and social media and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's we did some clubs where I've been. We banned the phones when we're together. We ban them. They can do whatever they want, when they're in their rooms or that, but no phones, unless it's an absolute, absolutely necessary to phone somebody or whatever. It can be a big distraction, absolutely. But it's the way to manage that as well. I mean, players are not stupid. Most of the players anyway. So it's explaining things, why we are together, why we want a peace, why we want to focus, why we want to give ourselves a best possible chance to focus on things. Instead of phones are everywhere and phones are ringing and everybody's talking and blah blah blah, and you're not concentrating on the match, you're not concentrating on the actual what we're trying to do.
And it's even when you look at it now, you'll probably have seen it as well, where you see these pictures where, I think was it the picture when Messi had scored in his MLS debut, and all you see is just all these people sitting there, phones like that, and I think the only person that wasn't was David Beckham.
Yeah, it's true, but it's understandable that supporters have their phones out. It's a wonderful moment for them, to go and support their club, and they score a goal, and what a wonderful free kick it was as well. And he comes to the crowd, and that's Messi there, and of course you get I would bloody give my phone, So yeah, absolutely, but there's a place and time. it's don't get me wrong. I'm not a strict old schooler that nobody says nothing and you keep your buttons right up there and all that. No. It has to be a relaxed atmosphere. It has to be relaxed, whatever you do, so that you can give yourself the best possible. And if the players are unhappy, they need to manage players and explain and talk to them and be their friend. Everybody knows in the end of the day who calls the shots, who decides things. So it's explaining things and saying that this is why and blah blah blah, and hope you're okay with that and all that, and to talk to the players is the key for me. I've never understood managers who don't talk to their players and ask some experienced players, how you feeling? Do you think the tactics we are applying are working? What about training? How are you feeling? Are you tired? Do you need more rest and all that? And of course, you want your players to be honest as well. But see what I mean? It's very important that relationship is honest, open, and working all the time.
And just kind of looking. Obviously, I know you managed a few other clubs after you left Hibs, but just to kind of pinpoint Finland, so from when we spoke about you playing and that kind of feeling you had, then to go as a manager, I mean, was that just another level?
Unbelievably honoured and proud, given that chance. And to be there almost 4.5 years, my country, a national team, and how it came about. I was at Kilmarnock, and we had a wonderful season. We had absolutely brilliant season, so enjoyable season, and we were working really hard on a training ground to try and build the style of play, how we wanted to make overloads all over the pitch, how we wanted to be positive and score goals while keeping the balance and all that. It was hard work, and the players were fantastic, working every day. How they bought the things that how we wanted to play with 2 number 10s and stuff like that. It was great. And then so I wasn't looking to change things. Because I was happy at Kilmarnock. There was some rumours about the Scunthorpe being interested in me at the time, and I wasn't interested in Scunthorpe at the time. I was happy at Killie. Fantastic, brilliant. Not the biggest of clubs, but fantastic football club. Brilliant. And then suddenly the Finland comes calling. And I'm like that. It's not possible to say no. It's not. It's your home country. It's you were lucky to play 70 times for them, be a captain and stuff like that, and then suddenly you have possibly a chance to become their manager, head coach of your country. It's not possible to say no, so it was a pity. It was a pity that it came that period, because everything was good, and we had such a fantastic time at Kilmarnock. But that's the way it goes so often, and it was a great learning curve for me. First national team job, and I had good time, well over 4 years over there. So it was great as a learning curve again, and to play against fantastic teams. Spain, they were the reigning European champions. They were at the same time, they were reigning world champions. What a wonderful team. They were in our qualification group. We managed to get a draw against them in Spain, which was fantastic, brilliant. Teemu Pukki scored our goal. He made his debut under my time. That era, and it was good. I had been appointed to be the Finland manager, and my main job was to make the team younger, considerably younger, because there were great players playing for the national team, but they were all over 35, and they were it was aging team. So my job was to, unfortunately, give the youngsters a chance and build it from there, and educate them for national football, international football, and it doesn't happen like that, by the way. It takes time, but that was a great chance, wonderful, and I've enjoyed all my 3 national team jobs with Hong Kong and Latvia as well. It's been great.
And just the kind of quick question I have on the managing national teams is, when you're at, for example, if we take the likes of Cowdenbeath, and there you're dragging these goals and you're fixing everything, then you're at Kilmarnock and it's very day to day. But then when you go to a national team, because they'll play with their clubs at points in that, is there a lot more, kind of where you have to do a lot more research and you have to go and watch a lot more as opposed to spending time with the players?
Yeah. Of course, you spend a lot of time preparing for matches club level as well, and watching opponent and analyzing them, and giving the players the info how the opponent plays, and to exploit their weaknesses, and to nullify their strengths and stuff like that. Of course, that happens club level as well. But there's more time to work with the players, especially your own game. So national team is all about prioritizing. When you're together, all the preparation, you have a lot of time to prepare. And what's the opponent last matches and few matches, what's the players, what kind of players, what they want to do, what they don't want to do, and stuff like that. So then deliver that to the players in 3 days. You can't always train fully. One might say that three players together, no problem. But you have to remember that some have played on Sunday, and you meet up as a national team on Monday. So players can train day after the match. They need a recovery and stuff like that. So that day, you have to give the players a chance to recover from the previous match. Players come in different kind of condition to the squad. Some have played on Friday, some have played on Saturday, some have played on Sunday, some have not played at all. And so it's totally different situation. And then when you plan your preparation days, you really need to prioritize. What are the most important things that need to be drilled into the players, and then obviously your own game through the time develops, and players understand more and more. That's why I've used a lot. My coaching philosophy is really, I pay a lot of emphasis on individuals. Of course, you have to take the whole team concept together as well. But it's very important that you coach individuals, because the individual players make the team. And it's the individual player who passes it. What kind of pass? When he passes it. And when he runs, what direction does he run? Timings, and how fast and all that. So you have to have a lot of sessions 1v1 with the players, so they understand their own roles and their jobs in the team. And then the team concept comes from, you're related to him, he will help you with this, and he will help you with this, and you have to come back to defend if you're a white player, otherwise your fullback is 2 against 1 in the white area, blah, blah, blah. Just a simple example. So that's when the players understand, I'm part of the team, I'm very important, but you concentrate on that individual player's jobs and roles, and you practice them. That is very important. And you explain to them. That's when the player's confidence is raised. That's when the player, hey, coach asked me to do this for the team, for myself. I can do this. I train this every day. Every day I'm better and better. In this, I'm good. I know. And then eventually he dominates that area of the pitch where he plays. So it's very important to have that individual approach. instead of all the time talk to the team, talk to the whole thing, because you end up talking too abstract things, too general things. Yeah. So just in a nutshell, my coaching philosophy there.
And, just interesting as well, because that kind of leads on nicely. Do you, management coaching, is that still something that you would see yourself doing again?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. When the right opportunity comes. Now, I need to be careful, because my last opportunity, my last job, if I want to say kindly, was a nightmare. I joined a club in Finland and HIFK in the Finnish Premier League, and I knew they had some financial troubles in the previous years. And then this director calls me, who I knew from before, the club director. He called me. Would I be interested? They had just changed the management, released the manager from his duties. So then they phoned me. Would you be interested in coming to us? We've had a terrible start to the season. Season had already started. The squad was full, and please come and help us. We want your type of manager who really improves the players and develops the whole thing, the whole football club. And I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about the finances. I wasn't sure about the going there when the situation wasn't good at all, and try and change things. I had been in a similar situation with Dundee United before, and it's very difficult to change things during the season if things are not right. And then I went there eventually, and 5 6 weeks after I signed the contract, the owner pulled his money out of the club. Bankruptcy was looming, and I was like, no. And I had targeted bringing loan players from England, the young players, young potential good players to come on loan until the end of the season to help us. And some Finnish players, a Latvian international centre half, for example, that I knew would do a good job for us. And everything, obviously, when the bankruptcy threat, everything went. And it was so difficult. Under those dark clouds, if you like, to work under, where there's no money to operate at all. So you can't do things professionally. Yeah. It's so difficult. It's impossible. But thankfully, the very same man who phoned me initially took charge of the club when the owner pulled his money, and he collected money together so that the club didn't fold. So we could do the season to the end, but there was no money to travel to the matches night before. And Finland is a large country. There's 8-hour bus trips and 6-hour train trips and stuff like that. So it wasn't professional, preparing for the matches and bringing players and improving the team, which was necessary. So I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Every second morning I woke up, I'm going to resign. This is not what I was promised. Every second morning I woke up, no, come on, fight, change it. Come on, let's do this. And blah, 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 be bullish and be strong. Yes, we got to the semi-finals of the Finnish Cup, which was good. FA Cup was excellent. But we ended up getting relegated. It was very difficult, and anybody who works in football understands that. And then I decided to resign before the end of the season, when the relegation was confirmed. I said it's better somebody else comes. This is start building towards the next season. Hopefully the cup will exist, which thankfully they do. And then so that was a very, very difficult summer for me.
Yeah,
I was there 5 months, four and a half months, 5 months, and with that bankruptcy looming, impossible. But anyway, so I need to be really careful where I go next. I want, of course, you don't. The club doesn't have to be the most beautiful and the richest club, blah blah blah, but everything to be in right order. Yes, in place, so that you have tools to operate. If you made, hands behind your back and you have to work, it's impossible. Yeah. So this kind of opportunity, if and hopefully comes around, then yes. I also think that, and I know that I have acquired through my travels and experiences as a player, as a coach, 3 national jobs, and also club jobs all over the world. So I would like to try technical director's role some point, or sporting director role, to help the club to develop, to grow, to have a boost in their player development, youth development system, and all that, and build everything more professional and better. And that interests me in the future. But I must say that my heart and how much I love being on the training ground with the players and help them to, for their positions and how they can play better is still very strong in my heart.
Yeah. And, hopefully after all the teams that you've managed, hopefully there's another couple of teams to add on to that list.
Put it that way, I'm ready. I've had a wee rest now, and that last summer is now away, and I've had a good time to think. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But like I said, I want to be careful. I don't want to rush into things. So interesting.
And just to kind of let end of this here now, looking at, because obviously you spent a lot of time in Scotland,
yeah,
both as a player and manager, and when you look at the setup, now in Scotland, when you've got your SPL, your Championship, first, second, and now you've got the kind of pyramid system of other teams coming in. How do you think that setup is?
And by the way, I'm still in Scotland. I'm now in Scotland. My home is in Scotland, so I'm here all the time, and I always return here because I regard this as my home. But to answer your question, the setup, I think you have to approach that question from the angle that how can we make Scottish football better?
Yeah.
Is the league structure, how we go about, beneficial for us, producing players, producing better players, giving players enough challenge, and that, and also supporters. So I've always been in favor of the, if you like, cult teams. I've always been in favor of young players going on loan from the big clubs, Premiership clubs, to the lower leagues, to play against men, not to play against boys, to play against men, to play for money, little £10 bonus, to play for that. Come on, in some instances to play against to play for the league title, to play against a relegation, to play in front of the passionate fans, and obviously we have very passionate fans, lower leagues, and stuff like that. It's totally different scenario to the youth football, to the under 20, under 23s, whatever. It's totally different atmosphere. It's totally different feeling to play. I've always been in favor of that. Whether it's the cult teams are introduced into the lowest tier. Whether it's the loan rules are relaxed enough so that Premier League clubs can loan, say, 4, 5, 6 players to one club.
Yeah.
Perhaps help coaching at that club if it's not a cult team, but help them and stuff like that, because the youngsters would get so much more challenge playing in the low leagues. And I remember when I was a HIPS manager, and I said that at our managers meeting at Hamden, I said that would be beneficial because it was my own experience in Finland. I was 16. I had just my 16th birthday. I went to play in the men's football. It was a third division in Finland. The standard wasn't great, but it was totally different.
Yeah,
it helped me a lot to develop and that. So I would like to see that. So I think we need to do everything. How can we develop our youth players more? How can we give them enough challenge? What kind of coaching development philosophy do we apply? How athletic do we want to develop our players? How tough? And playing in the low leagues, you get tough. You know, those matches are not, hanky-panky. So it's very important that they get in that right kind of challenges. And also the club that takes those players on loan, or if it becomes a gold club, that helps the club also. The mother club possibly, some supporters will go and watch their matches because they have quite a few of their players playing for them.
Yeah.
It's easier for the mother club to control and see development of the players because they play more or less the same club instead of scattered all over Scotland.
Yeah.
One player there, one player there, and one player here. There's loads of financial help from the mother club. So there's so many advantages from that. So never mind the numbers. Is the Premier League 12 teams? Is the Premier League 16 teams? What about the Championship? Is that 16 as well? 32 professional clubs. Yeah, I can see benefit of that. But everything has to, I think we have to approach these things. One, is it entertaining for the fans? Do the standard of Scottish football drop if we change numbers of the teams in divisions? Secondly, do we give the youngsters enough challenge? Thirdly, are the supporters enjoying it? Or do their team play in a league that they get beat 4-5-0 every game? It's not fun.
Yeah.
Rather play lower. They'd rather play lower and win. So there are so many things that affect the whole question. But I think for the country, for Scotland's sake, I think youth development. Let's look at our youth. And at the same time, the big clubs who loan the players, of course, they have their interest in developing their players for the first team and all that. That's great. And if they manage to do that, and they come to the mother club then and play and become regular starters and become international players, and then the club sells them on, it's done the business. It's working. This I would like to see.
And Joe, it's just very interesting because the amount of people that have asked that question or a similar question too, and because as we discussed kind of off camera and things, I follow about a lot of lower league football. That's generally what I do. But you're the first person that I've asked that question to that's turned around and spoke about the fans and are they enjoying it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The first person that's kind of right. And one of the things I was at Dumbarton game on Saturday, just there, and the one thing, and by the way, Steve Farrell, absolutely gentleman of a man. He invited me down. He met up with me before it. He was absolutely brilliant, really well looked after. But the one thing that I did notice was there wasn't really any crowd reaction to anything.
There you go. It's very important to football. And how can we change the negativity? And I think young talented players going to the on loan, not just one, but 4, 5, 6, can change the fortunes a lot. And that, so it's massively important. But like I said, if the numbers are not right, the fans don't enjoy it because if their team gets beat all the time, say the 16 teams, say the 4 teams now go to the Premier League, and they start getting beat every week, that only feeds the negativity. That only feeds the aggression on the stands. We don't want that. We want, and if you ask the fans, they would rather play division below and win. They would. Yeah.
And you can see that, even last season I'd been to a few different games in Albion Rovers, and the reason I picked them out is because they unfortunately got relegated, but they were very much, there's one week you would turn up and see them, and I mean, they beat Stirling Albion, played Stirling Albion off the park. Stirling Albion were the league champions. But then the next week, they were struggling in a playoff game to score a goal. And when I went down, I spoke to a few different fans, it was very much, we know what our level is.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to be. We don't have these aspirations they have done historically of going up and getting promoted, because they says you become the kind of whipping boys, if you like, in that league, and then it stops becoming fun and enjoyable to go to.
Not good. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
And with you saying you're in Scotland, do you still go to much football?
Yeah, I go to matches every now and then. Absolutely. I pick up match here and match there, and it's not just that I go to one club all the time. And not only just the Premier League all the time. I go different levels and all that, and see, and just to know what's going on and what's happening, and it's need to know what's happening around you.
So. I'm imagining that you're turning up at some of these lower league grounds with your CV, Mixu.
Well, hey, beggars can be choosers, but
I'll tell you what, in the lower league games that I've been to, the amount of excited fans there would be at the team that's getting beat, if they seen you in the sidelines watching the game in the stands, thinking, "Is he coming here? Is this why this is happening?"
And I always have my notebook with me, and they must be saying, "He's got his notebook. He's making notes." Blah blah blah. But I look at both clubs, both teams. I look at both teams, and not just the home club. Everybody assumes that he's watching us and blah blah blah. But no, it's that will never change.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the time, and I appreciate you taking the kind of time out. The final question that I've got for you is slightly non-football related, but just to kind of finish us off, if there was to be a film made about your life, who would you choose to play you?
Well, it would have to be a Baldy, wouldn't it? Well, maybe not. Probably. That's difficult. That's very difficult. Probably, I don't know. Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando, that's an excellent shout. I'll be honest and say, I thought if you asked...
Is that Marlon Brando?
I thought you were going to ask me who would I have thought played you. So I had written down Robert De Niro.
Why? Because of my facials.
For some reason, I just pictured him playing the role. I don't even know why. And I thought I've actually thought your answer was better.
I tell you what, I would take that. I would take Robert De Niro any day.
But Bill, it makes you. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on and to speak. And all the best in the future. Your career up until now has been fantastic, and I really do look forward to see where you go.
Pleasure talking to you, John, and it's been wonderful. I really enjoy that. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye.